I also like to think of myself as being green, and I've had an opportunity as part of a caucus in the Congress to be on the House Sustainable Energy and Environmental Coalition. And that's been one of the most active caucuses actually in the Congress, looking at a whole host of issues that obviously by our name is sustainability, but I think that it is given, in addition to the committees that are active in the Congress, a home for a lot of us. Because if you look at the records and you look at the numbers and you see where people are on these committees, in terms of the standing committees now in dealing with the environment, where the committee chairs are, and then where the ranking chairs are, and the ranking, of course, is the minority members that are on that group, it couldn't be more stark. Absolutely not. I have what's nearly a 100% record from the Sierra Club, Conservation, League of Conservation Voters, and others. I think I have a very, very strong environmental record. The irony is that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle are proud of the fact that they may have a 10. And it's pretty amazing when you go back and you look at those numbers of where those chair people are on those committees today. It's stark. I mean, it's 90 and up on one side, and it's 20 and below. ICE is maybe 5. I don't know. Yeah. I don't even know if it registers. So we see that, particularly among the Tea Partiers who came in 2010, that they are very, very anti-environmental, and in many ways, it's sort of that ideology that's taken over, where they see that if you were pro-government, that would mean that you believe that the government should be involved in every possible way in the environment, and they don't really see that economies run well when they're also sustainable and people are involved and you have green technologies and you're developing and you're really spreading the ability to do many of the right things by the environment. And we know that in the end, if we don't do that, then none of those jobs, of course, will be there, but nothing else will be there either. And that's really a very important thing that we see. So just to get a sense of that, in July, the Congress passed. Not everybody, of course, voted this way, but the Congress actually passed with the majority of votes the congressional replacement of President Obama's job-limiting offshore drilling plan. That was the name of the bill.
Oh my God.
So you can imagine, what that was actually about. It would have opened nearly every last piece of public lands to drilling. It allows the states to permit drilling off their shores, even if the states opposes doing so. And it rushes leasing permits in sensitive environments in the Arctic. And then on top of that, just before we adjourn, they passed the No More Solyndras Act, freezing Department of Energy loan guarantees, and their Energy and Commerce Committee spent almost its entire budget investigating Solyndra. So you ask, where are we? I mean, unfortunately, this is where we are. And the amount of time and energy that is spent on this kind of stuff is just crazy.
And the decommissioning of that is polling in terms of, I have the poll here, San Diegans want that decommissioned. I don't think that's directly in your district, but it's certainly in the sphere of influence. And I wondered if you could talk about that, and I'll just give you two, and you've heard these questions before, but the other relates to the public lands issue, again within your sphere of general influence. And ironically, wind power and in some cases large solar arrays that are not just disruptive or unpleasant for East County residents, or power plants in University City in La Jolla that are not just unpleasant but are being pushed on folks and creating health and safety problems that we don't have enough. So if you could kind of talk about those three things very quickly, the San Onofre, the public lands issue with renewable energy and the paradox of that, And also the power plant in University City, that would be great.
Okay, I'll try and do
All
that.
right.
I think a lot of those issues are ones that the public embraces on one side or the other. I mean, I think there are people who really want to be heard on those issues, and I think that's just terribly important. So setting the environment for people to be able to be heard and communicating with the people who were the decision makers in those areas, that the public must be heard. I mean, there must be openness, there must be transparency, and there must be the ability to respond and to have that kind of input present. So that's, I think, on a basic thing, the principle of it is to make sure that transparency is there. I think for San Onofre, it's interesting because I had gone to San Onofre a little while after the tsunami and after the earthquakes in Japan. And to go through and spend time trying, asking questions, talking about what they were doing, and then some of the difficulties began and they had to shut them down. And one of the things, they have shut it down for a considerable period of time. And there doesn't seem to be any date that I don't think that they're working on. But I think it's important. I mean, obviously there are a lot of questions that have to be answered, and at this time, the concerns is that they haven't been transparent enough. They haven't really answered the questions that people need to have answered there. And until they do that, and until they can demonstrate that there is no problem whatsoever, and it's safe, and that the work that needs to be done there was accomplished, everything was accomplished, then I think the public, should not feel comfortable. I mean, it's just too important and too serious to do that. I must say that, I think the people there, at least most of the people there, probably do not want to get anything started if they're going to have a problem, because that doesn't work for anybody. But at the same time, people have to be looking at that. And when you look at our power plant and others, I remember at that time, and honestly, I don't remember all the details about it, but many of the questions that we had were, well, how is this the same and how is this different? What is it about the technologies that we have fail-safe moves, different from Japan, which they did not? And of course, it came out quite later that there were a lot of reasons for them to have doubted the ability of the plant to sustain itself in a 100-year-old flood. I mean, I think that they were clear about that. It hadn't really been tested. We need to do the same things here. And there's a large wall there. We haven't had that kind of activity in the ocean, that would go over a 30-foot wall, but it's happened, and I think that, maybe that's something that needs to be done. I know that we were very concerned about evacuation routes, and how do you adjust evacuation? What do you do in terms of evacuation routes? That you have enough evacuation routes, that you have an area where you can move some of the generators which are nowhere near the water. All those kinds of questions were ones that we were asking. On the other issues in terms of land use and public lands, I think to me it's down to the details in some ways, and how we can work, how you get the stakeholders involved. People approached me about the freeway some time ago at the I'm trying to remember the name of the areas, but right off of Pendleton, where they wanted to build a whole big, huge housing development with freeway, and really build into the state park that was there. And a lot of interest, a lot of discussion, and we fought it and we won. In fact, we fought against Darrell Issa, and we won. I mean, they tried to pull a fast one, and it took some time and it took some work. And they're probably going to still come back and want that development, but I always think that we saved these folks just a huge bundle of cash, because in the end, if they had gone forward with the project they wanted, he would have bombed, because the housing crisis happened, and that would not have been a good thing for anybody. So I think, again, it's finding the people who feel that they're really affected by it, and making the case and driving that, and being specific, and having the information. I mean, we all know that. Information is power, and I think you just have to go with the people that are trying to do something, have a development. I don't think all development's bad. And some development's good. But I think you have to be certain that it's not on precious land. And for those of us who bought a number of things in San Diego over the years, we have some areas that San Diegans have said, hands off, can't build here, can't do this. And we have to continue to work hard when that kind of possibility arises, and we can continue to preserve that.
We all have a responsibility no matter at what level. I was surprised to see only Democratic candidates show up. I don't know, well, I know what it means for the Congress, by the way. I'm in a body where half of the body, almost, the Tea Party part, simply does not believe in science. They do not believe that climate change exists, that it's a liberal plot. They don't believe that you teach evolution in the schools. They don't believe that you do research on stem cells. I mean, here we are in supposedly the most advanced scientific nation in the world, and half of our legislative body does not believe in either science or rational thought, really. It's amazing, and it's so frustrating to watch. They were prepared, by the way, this group. Remember we went through the Terry Schiavo incident, very difficult decision when you pull a plug on somebody, a loved one. It's very difficult. But everything in their mind is decided by philosophy. They were this close to sending in the National Guard to plug her back in. This is the most difficult personal decisions you can make. And these are small government people, but they want the government, to do their philosophy. Anyway, it's very frustrating, and I decided out of that situation to see if we can do better as chief executive of the 8th biggest city, and actually take our responsibility seriously for climate change, for alternative energy, for an environment that is sane and beautiful. But I think there's so many things we can do here just in our region without worrying about the feds, without worrying about the state. Oh, AB 32 is wonderful, and we're going to do all the public can certainly to work with it and to implement it. Let me just quickly, I humbly say that I'm probably the most prepared candidate ever for mayor in terms of my government background, but also on the issues that concern you in terms of my education and professional background. I came to San Diego 42 years ago to teach at San Diego State University. I was a professor there for 22 years of the history of science, and was trained as a chemical engineer and a chemist before I went to graduate school in history. But I had to minor in every science that was in the curriculum at Cornell University. So it gives me a little head start on some of the issues that you all are concerned about. Out of a real frustration with the school board and the way they were treating my own kids in elementary school, where I was PTA president, I ran for the school board, was elected, served a term, including a year as president of the board. I was elected twice to the San Diego City Council, including a year as deputy mayor, and 10 terms to Congress. I guess my most proud service was as chairman of the Veterans Affairs Committee, where we, in 4 years, did as much as anybody's done in decades, including putting literally tens of billions of dollars into mental health care for our nation's veterans, declaring a policy that I announced with President Obama of zero tolerance for veterans homelessness, and making sure that our young people in Iraq and Afghanistan could go to college and buy a house. There's 800,000 veterans from those wars, even though I did not vote for them. But I did not vote for wars, that is. But we got to support the young people who went there. There are 800,000 in college because of the bill I wrote. I feel pretty proud of that. So certainly in terms of experience at all levels of government, the school district, the city, the feds, I am head and shoulders above my opponent. And certainly I know where the money is in Washington. I know where some of the help that we can get on some of these issues is. I think I'm prepared, as I said, educationally, intellectually, with a background in many of the issues that we discuss, we'll discuss tonight. as a historian of science, again, I have studied, whether it's chemistry, physics, mathematics, biology, geology, astronomy, psychology, plus there's history, medicine, and some other things. But I believe that as mayor of the city of San Diego, that I have a responsibility in dealing with these issues, like every other, every government official at every level has a responsibility. We must do what we can for climate change, for energy alternatives, any alternative energy use, for protecting the environment. I mean, that's each one of our jobs. I don't care if you're the school board, or you're the state, or you're federal, but certainly a mayor. And we have looked at a lot of these issues and how the mayor can help. I'll just give you a quick couple, and then you all can ask any questions. Certainly, by the way, out of leadership and educational level, trying to educate people about our responsibility, about making sure kids understand that, and small business particularly, which we have to stimulate. People who do energy audits, who put in solar panels, who do photovoltaic cells, will obviously have to expand, and new ones will come. We may even get to manufacture. It brings down the cost for private people to private homes and private businesses to also solar power. So we can create an enormous both demand and incentive to do things. And as people say, well, how are you going to pay for all that? How are you going to pay for all that? I think you all know that there are companies now formed that will do the upfront capital cost. They do it for individuals. A big contract like this would even be better. That their payments come from the savings in the energy bills. And we can pay for that through that. In fact, I started exploring, I said, well, if we can do that, why can't we give incentives for neighborhoods, individuals, I mean, either businesses or homeowners, to switch to solar. And the savings could, in fact, power the schools or the rec centers or the libraries in their own neighborhoods. I mean, wouldn't that be interesting that we put a incentive to do something privately, and with some incentive from the government, which we could provide, there's all kinds of programs, and yet you're also helping your own neighborhood and community. I think that would be enormous sort of incentive to do some things that we think should be done. And what we can do is only limited by our own imagination, by the way, of course. I mean, you guys can, whatever you come up with, we'll try to do. Because it takes leadership more than anything. These are not technology issues. These are not really even funding issues. They are leadership issues. And even climate change. I mean, I made up this slogan. I'll try it out. I mean, if we want to save our beaches, we can't keep our heads in the sand. That is, we have a responsibility as a community to do whatever it is. And if people come up with ideas that the government can help on, or provide incentives to the private sector, or educate the public on, we're going to do, because that's our responsibility. Let me end just this part of the thing, Kathleen. The green economy. We all know what that means, and we all know how powerful that could be for getting us out of the recession. We also, there's a more less known part of our economy that has been called the blue economy, based on ocean research and what Scripps does, and things like wave energy and biofuels and algae. I mean, there's a whole new kind of thing that's growing up that many of you probably know about that is really still unknown to most of San Diegans. So we have a green economy that we want to certainly stimulate. We have a blue economy that we want to really get to be more well-known and supported. But I am going to put them together. And we're going to have an aqua economy. That is, I'm going to get on the cover of Newsweek for this. I mean, that is seriously, that we put together support for this, and we get, the real thing of the mayor is leadership and providing excitement, and about doing this, and saying it's all our responsibility, and getting people understanding that they could do it. And what they do as individual has enormous impact on their own community, their neighborhood, their city, and of course their planet. It's hard to do that. Because people are telling them, again, it's not happening, or we can't do anything about it, or don't worry about it. We all have a responsibility, and we can all do something. but it's leadership and getting people excited about it. That's the key thing. And I think that's what, as mayor, I'm going to do best. We're going to get people excited about it. We get into the wind issues, Rafferty. I mean, here we have, you know, it's not, now we have moved, by the way. I think this is progress. We're not discussing jobs versus environment because we figured out how to combine it. But now we're saying certain good energy sources, like wind, are doing bad things if done the wrong way to neighborhoods, to Native American issues, to the desert, whatever. So we cannot say because it's environmentally good thing, wind, that therefore we should do it willy-nilly. I mean, it's still an impact on the neighborhood, and we have to consider it. And I'm going to look at, Miriam and others have written, she's written the most about some of these projects, both in Imperial County and in East County. And the neighborhoods still count. I don't care if it's wind. We've got to find a way. I mean, I'll use the same in desal, by the way. Desal, in theory, I mean, here we have an inexhaustible source of water, ocean, or we have an inexhaustible source of energy, the wind. But how you do that is still an issue. Can we do that without destroying fish and, parts of the ocean in desal? Can we do wind without destroying habitat, without destroying Native American sites, without, impacting the whole quality of life of a county? So those issues are still there, and I'm still going to listen to the neighborhoods on those.
Well, thank you, Kathleen and Jay and the Green Experts Academy and Alan Ball and Cricket Wireless for bringing us together today. My name is Pat Hurley. I'm running for Assembly in the 71st Assembly District. It's gigantic. It is all the East County cities, Ramona to and communities down to La Presa, Spring Valley, all the way up to the Imperial County border, the Mexican border, and then part of Riverside County, Idlewild, Pine Cove, and East Hemet. So it's a very, very large district, and there's so much that can be done. And what we learned tonight is that we have a group of leaders that we can elect that can really create jobs and make this happen. We've been hit hard at home in local government services like fire and police protection, and at the state level, resulting in higher tuition for college, skeleton crews and larger class sizes in our schools, and a budget deficit that must be eliminated. We can and will overcome these challenges by rolling up our sleeves and working hard like we always have. When our shores were challenged in the 1940s, California helped pull the entire nation out of a depression through sheer will and determination, building the finest military hardware and technology the world had ever known. We will harness the same enthusiasm to overcome today's challenges. They said we couldn't produce enough airplane, ships, technology in time to meet the challenges in Europe and the Pacific, but we did it. We did the work ahead of schedule and sparked the greatest economic expansion in history. Our modern challenges are jobs, water, and fuel. And we can meet and exceed these challenges through job creation and economic growth through the implementation of state PACE programs. We heard earlier about property assessed clean energy programs, CCAs, community choice aggregation. We heard about earlier our locally owned utilities, and financing through a state bank. This will create middle class jobs, saving homeowners money on utility bills, creating a cleaner environment, more money in our treasury, and our homes and businesses will be energy efficient and ready for solar, creating even more higher paying jobs that cannot be outsourced. And we will do this through the private sector without raising taxes. The city of San Diego recently approved a PACE program, and there are private PACE programs, as was just mentioned, are available through organizations like Y Energy. And that's particularly the city program allows property owners the benefit of avoiding the upfront installation cost of renewable on-site generation systems and energy efficiency measures, and eliminating concerns that they will sell the property before recovering the system investment from utility bills. The result is that property owners can finance their greening efforts with a minimal level of financial risk. This will create jobs for energy auditors, for the construction trades, as we insulate homes, add Energy Star appliances, upgrade heating and air conditioning systems, and adding thermal and photovoltaic solar systems. CCAs are the biggest change we'll never notice. Senator Mark Leno's SB 790 that was signed by the governor will help ensure that cooperation by local utilities. I'm sure that's a catalyst of why they're being so cooperative with the County of San Diego. Cities, counties, and communities choosing to create their own utilities will spark even more economic activity and job growth through energy-efficient retrofits to existing homes and businesses, while solar power is being installed on roofs and parking lots throughout communities that choose to aggregate their own energy. I work for an organization, the Heartland Coalition, that we're in the business of creating jobs. Our mission is to serve low-income residents of California, Nevada, Arizona, and Alaska with projects in the areas of career and community development, healthcare, environmental protection, and clean energy, disaster relief, education, objective and timely news, and public art. The Heartland Coalition generates win-win partnerships that create good jobs, capable employees, and sustainable communities. And we do this by following demand. We have created 185 jobs throughout the Southwest by rebuilding foreclosed homes and assisting low and moderate income families to buy newly rebuilt homes. And we have partnered with United Green Industries to train and employ auto workers in El Cajon's Carrera coach rooms, where we bring back the Porsches of the 50s and 60s by building complete cars and partnering with San Diego's for-profit and research and development institutions like San Diego State University's Energy Engineering Department. Once again, by following demand, Carrera Coach Works has already hired 9 new employees with plans to expand to 100 as we develop new electric car technologies for integration into our classic automobiles. Bill Clinton, while being interviewed by Jon Stewart just the other day, mentioned the unique collaborative business environment here in San Diego County. All of us at this table, and many that are still here, will make San Diego County the green jobs capital of the world through PACE programs, through CCAs and innovative manufacturing, while creating a quadruple bottom line. We will accomplish the often quoted triple bottom line of creating good paying sustainable jobs, lower utility bills for families and businesses, and reducing pollution and greenhouse gases, and we will add a fourth by contributing to our state's treasury through economic growth. We can do this. With the cooperation of the people in this room and around the world, we will create a green jobs corridor from the shores of San Diego all the way through East County, out through the mountains into the desert, and all the way up to and including parts of Riverside County. Today's discussion was a continued collaboration that we have all been having, and as we revitalize San Diego's economy, lower energy costs, greenhouse gas emissions, while improving quality of the air we breathe and the water we drink, and contribute to our state's budget crisis through economic growth and middle-class jobs. And this can all be done very simply. As I mentioned earlier, we just simply follow demand. We've all heard about supply-side economics. We all know it doesn't matter how much supply you have if you don't have any customers, if you don't have demand. We just have to follow demand. Of course, companies can create demand through effective marketing and sales, but you follow demand. There is a demand for energy-efficient homes. There is a demand for energy-efficient cars. All we have to do is do it, and I encourage us all to keep up the good work.
Thank
you very much.
Great. So we'll call the lightning round. We'll call it the green flash round. That's a very San Diego thing. And so I just have one question for you. Now, some people throw red meat at candidates. I'm going to throw you some blue meat because I think you can handle this question. Governor Brown says opposition to industrial scale renewables and projects like PowerLink must be, quote, crushed, unquote. These projects are having huge impacts on communities, which you've discussed, also reducing property values and raising fire danger. Some folks can't get fire insurance now because of proximity to some of these projects. How will you, if elected, help solve these problems, Pat?
It will be a combination of leadership. I've talked about Filner, he's endorsed me because, like what I said, we intend to work from the port all the way through East County. As most people know, San Diego itself is a Region 1, so it really doesn't need a lot of weatherization. We want your house to breathe. Where the big money in weatherization and insulation is in East County, on the other side of the foothills. And there is an unending amount of work to do. None of those homes have insulation. And we just have to get started. We need a PACE program. We can't do that in Santee and El Cajon. They can now do it in San Diego where it isn't as necessary. So we do need a countywide PACE program so that it can be like metal roof, so it can be on your property tax bill, so you don't have to pay it off like they have to apparently in Riverside. I didn't know about that. I'm going to look into it. But that is just a loan. And if it has to be paid off when you move, that's just not the same. It's not the correct incentive. And I understand where the governor's coming from. Our president is for that too. These are folks that are frightened of brownouts. They just don't want it to happen, and they really think this is the answer, and they don't think we can catch up fast enough. But we can. If we elect the people that were at this podium tonight, we won't need any of that. Because we will have CCAs, we will be putting up rooftop and parking lot solar, and we will have local energy, and we won't need any more Sunrise Power Links, and we certainly won't need the Quail Brush power plant, right. And we certainly won't need to put propellers in people's backyards.
Thank you.